Not all money is equal. When you're raising capital for your business, you need to choose who is the right place to go to and why should you get cash from that person. In today's episode of Chew the Fat, I go deep on this topic to make sure you know where to go and who to choose. And we do it over this delicious chicken peri-peri dish.
Welcome to Chew the Fat. In this series, I sit down with high-performance guests and we talk about life, business, and what it takes to be at the top. This is part of my mission to raise $1 million for charity by writing a cookbook called Eat with Purpose. But I'm going to need your help. If you can share the content and leave a review, it's going to make a massive impact. And the bigger the audience, the greater the reach, and the sooner we can get to that $1 million goal. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to another episode of Chew the Fat. Today, we're talking cash. Anybody who knows me knows I love talking cash. I want to talk about raising capital for your business. A couple of different points I want to make today is around not all money is the same money. So you have to be really cautious around where you go to get the money to fund your business. But before I get stuck in there, I want to talk about a few different things. Why? Why do you need to raise capital? First things first is, when your business is in a particular stage and you're looking to grow, it may be the right time to raise capital. And the reason why people do that is because, one, they don't have access to money. Number two is they want to reduce the risk. So with business, there is a high degree of risk, and you can go sell your investment, sell your home, and you put all your money in. The reality is getting money elsewhere is going to reduce the risk for you as an individual. So there's multiple different reasons, but often it's around that scaling the growth, something you may not have access to. And so you want to go and look for a place to really turbocharge your business. But one of the things I'm wrestling with at the moment is there's so many people out there who are kind of in this, they see raising capital for a business as the first step of every business. So that's like kind of the first thing you need to do is go and raise money. I think the reality is not every business needs to raise money. I kind of feel like it's almost a new thing that's happened. When I say new, I'm not saying the last 2 years, but let's say the last, 10 years. People think the process of building a business is, you build an idea, you build a product, you build a pitch deck, and you go start looking to raise capital. I don't know if I fully agree with that. And the reason why is, if it's your first time as a founder, I think there's a really important principle, a critical thing that you need to understand. It's how to actually use money, how to manage the costs of your business. Because if you have, let's say you raise 500 grand and you're starting a business and you haven't learned how to spend money appropriately, you haven't learned how to manage costs, you almost get this false sense of security that I'm on the right idea and so far I'm successful. And I hear this a lot is, I'm working with early stage businesses, scaling up businesses, and rather than sharing with me their wins around, I've landed this big client, I've done this, I've done that, it's like, hey, we've just closed an amazing round and I've just made heaps of money. And that's cool and it is exciting, but it doesn't yet mean you're successful. Because truly a business is fundamental. A business is you want to have customers, you want to create revenue, and the business is truly successful once you get to profitability. So yes, there's many great examples of amazing companies, big companies, Ubers, Airbnb, all of these big Silicon Valley companies that raise money for 10, 20 years and then they turn into profitability. But the reality is, it was only once they got to profitability that they become, truly a big player. There is examples here in Australia. Let's talk about companies like Milk Run that have raised 50, 100, 200 million, and they inevitably go bankrupt because they're spending more than they're earning. And over the long term, you just can't do that as a business. There comes a point in time where you have to earn more than you spend. And so why I harp on about this is because I'm really passionate. It's like, if you've never run a business, I want to encourage you, learn how to manage money first. Learn what it looks like to, let's say, take that 10 grand savings and pinch every single dollar and really make it work. And once you know how to work with money, okay, sure, it's time to scale, you need to raise capital, that's fine, that's great, because when you get the money, you'll know how to squeeze it. Our version of this in Realbase was in the early stages, myself and my brother Jacques, we sold our investment properties. So this was probably year 4, year 5. We sold our investment properties, we dropped our salaries to $400 a week, so that we had, a lifeline, a period of time where we can, essentially be able to spend most of the profits in the business so we can have longevity. Now, That's in year 4 or 5. When we first started, my oldest brother Ken had a credit card for 10 grand. So you can imagine every expenditure we're doing is thought of like to the nth degree, because we know like, okay, once this goes, we have no more money. So I want you to think about, how do you first learn the principle of using money before you get to the next stage, which is, hey, where am I going to get money from? Now let's go to my next point, which is not all money is the same. You know, the reality is, let's say your business needs 250 grand to get to the next level, or 5 million. There is many different places you can get access to capital. And so I'll share some of those. But before I do that, is kind of talk about where and why would you go to certain places. So there might be 10 different places that you can get that 250 grand. But the money is only one element. So you need to be looking at it more as a strategic move to go, what's going to help me get to my end state? So let's say venture capital is the place you want to get money. So venture capital, for the punters out there who are not in this world and don't particularly know what that means, venture capital is a business that funds other businesses in the early stages. So helps you through the different early stages of raising capital. And they're kind of there in, let's say, the years 1, 2, 3, where either you've got product market fit or you're starting to grow from there. Now, not all venture capital is the same. Some will come in and they'll have certain amounts of rigor. So they'll want certain seats on your board. They'll want certain controls. They will want to see certain things every single month from how's the business progressing? What's the revenue growth? What's the churn numbers? And they'll start to require a lot of you. And some will have other strategic doors that open. So a great example is, I know David Shane. David Shane was on the podcast. He sold a business for $1 billion, and he has a venture company called OIF Ventures. You know, I speak to David, and part of the allure of OIF Ventures is he has someone from a tech company come in, and their target market, let's say, and I'm just using fake business names for now, their target market is someone in ANZ. And David's like, great, I know the ex-CTO of ANZ. And so by having them invest in your business, they can make a call and get you access to a meeting that you potentially never would have been able to get in those early stages. So some venture capital come with really strategic abilities to open up doors. The next is like the wisdom. Certain venture capitals have come with a lot of wisdom. It's like they have worked with 50, 100, 150, 200 different businesses. Or back to David's example, is like David has built and sold a company for $1 billion. So when you have him and there's partners investing in you, you kind of have access to knowledge that it's not easy to come by. And so you can find a venture capital that will help you actually make business decisions, be a sounding board, advisory board. You know, one of the episodes I talked about finding your right mentor. Well, is the difference between having a mentor and having someone who's literally invested in your success. When you ask them questions and challenges, they're gonna be able to actually solve for you because they're tied to the outcome. Now, here's some of the challenges with venture capital. One of the things that's going to happen in those early stages of business, and I kind of touched on it a second ago, is you want to be running fast at getting this product out there. You want to be running fast at getting customers. You want to be growing the team, and you want to kind of have your blinders on to go as quickly as possible. Too early on in the piece, some venture capital is going to require some really strong rigor, like I mentioned, the board seats, the investor presentations every month. And so a lot of your time is not going to be focused around getting customers, building the team. It's actually going to be focused around appeasing that venture capital firm. So I want you to really think closely about, is venture capital the right place to go? Because I am going to have a portion of my time distracted. Because the challenge this is going to create is you're going to become corporate too quickly. And I think this is something that can slow businesses down in those early stages, where they're thinking too much about these board discussions and not enough with actually getting their hands dirty. So that's venture capital, a great place to raise capital, but make sure you choose the right one that's strategically aligned to where you want to go. Now, other things to think about when you think about that alignment from venture capital, and I spend a lot of time on there because it's probably the most traditional place that you're going to go and raise capital, but they're not all made equal, is what is the investment mandate? So some firms will have a fund, and their fund is looking to return within 5 to 7 years. Now, is your business looking to build and sell in the next 5 to 7 years? Or are you looking to build a generational business, something that you want to be proud of in 20 years' time? And if you choose that wrong partner, there's a potential there that you're not going to be aligned in terms of that exit strategy. So if they take a reasonably significant portion, have a seat on the board, and let's say in 5 years you get offered a number that's great from an investment standpoint, but is not aligned to actually where you want to go to get to the next level, there's going to become a challenge. So you really want to make sure that when you choose that venture capital firm, you're really aligned around what does success look like? Because the reality is you're not taking that money for day one and that's it. You're taking that money, you're taking that check, it's going in your bank. You're gonna be with them for the next 5, 7, 10, 15 years. This is a long-term relationship. So just like when you choose a partner in life, you're not thinking about what is it gonna look like next year. You're trying to think about what does it look like for a lifetime. It's kind of the same thing for venture capital. So choose really wisely because it's real hard to unwind this once it's done. All right, where else can you get money from? The next one is high net worth individuals. So if you make a decision in your business, hey, I don't want to go through the process of having someone on the board, I don't want to have to do investor presentations, but I want cash, cash is great, but I kind of want to keep this as a startup, a great place to go and find capital is high net worth individuals. Now you might know people in your network or know someone that knows someone. The reason these are cool is because one, they might have done something similar, so they've built and sold a business, now they're sitting on a bit of cash and they've got a family fund. That gives you that level of expertise as someone that could be a mentor to you, but again, they're invested in. But someone that takes a bit more of a hands-off approach. The reality is if you find someone who sold their business for $100 million and you're asking for a 50 grand check and you do that for 4 or 5 different people, they're not going to see it as the same lens as a venture capital firm, which is trying to create some serious returns for their investors. It's a bit more like they're taking a few different bets all around, and it's a bit more of a hands-off approach. Now, you don't want to take advantage of that, but it is a way in which that you can still keep the startup blood, the startup mentality in a business for longer before you go down that next path, which is working with a venture capital. Now, the next one I want to talk about, again, there's many places you can look for money, but they're kind of the top 3, and this is the third one I will talk about today. One that I think is a really interesting place to find money is customers. The key to building a business is you need to be bringing in revenue, you need to manage costs, which create profitability at the other end. Now, if you go and work with a venture capital or high net worth individual, you haven't yet guaranteed customers. You haven't yet guaranteed revenue. You've guaranteed the cash, which can help you get them. But another way to look at it is, and I've seen really interesting success in this, is some of the capital raising you do is for strategic customers. Now, a really great example of this is a guy called Angus Ferguson, someone I work with in Domain. In his first business, Real-Time Agent, he worked with a handful of really strategic, great customers. So almost within the first or second year of business, you can lock in contracts, 2, 3, 4-year contracts. Those customers, one, see you succeed because, hey, they own shares in your business. And so, yes, the cash is great. You can get 100, 200 grand from those customers. But what's really interesting is you have almost bought lifetime contracts. Now, on the other end of that, and the business is successful, what a great relationship you've built with your customers. Isn't it? Not only did I build a product that you wanted to use and made assistance in your business, but there was an exit and there's now a big chunk of cash that's coming back to you. So customers is a really interesting place to work with. And a layer down from customers is also like influencers. So something I'm seeing at the moment is people who have business, let's say it's a business consumer brand, and you're looking to sell a product. And there's influencers in the influencing game. Let's say they're fitness influencers, let's say they're cooking influencers, whoever they are. And you give them an equity opportunity in your business. They actually have to give you cash. What it means is which product they're going to be influencing. Is it going to be the one that gives us some referral discount of 10%, or one that they get the long tail ability to actually buy and hold the shares of your company? So I think there's really interesting ways to look at getting cash from opportunities that create revenue, which is, again, this is why I say not all cash is the same. If one comes with not only the 250 grand you need, but guaranteed for the next 4 to 5 years contracts that can bring in millions of dollars, okay, well now that 250 grand cash is actually worth multiple millions when you look at it from a macro lens. So those are 3 interesting places I think about where to get cash, kind of the pros and cons and understanding that not all the things are equal. I now want to talk about one of the traps of being on the merry-go-round of raising capital. One of the things I'm seeing with those early stage founders, whether it be year 2 or year 3, is they go through almost these 6-month cycles. They've raised cash, it's given them enough burn rate for the next 9 to 12 months. Fantastic. I'm hiring people, I'm doing marketing, blah, 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 blah. Oh, we've got 3 months of liquidity left. I better go on the roadshow again. Back to the roadshow, building out their investor presentations, trying to convince people, blah, 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 blah. I've raised cash again. And they go through almost this merry-go-round where if you think about that founder, the person who should really be leading the business, focusing their time, their energy, their effort, their skills on acquiring customers, managing costs, building a team, building culture. But every 3 to 6 to 9 months, they're focusing on encouraging other people to give them money. If you look at it from like a yearly standpoint, they might kind of be out of the game for 3 months at a time. And if you extrapolate that out for the next 4 to 5 years, that makes some really material impact to getting to your end state. So if you decide to raise capital, fantastic. Make sure you get the number right. Is this going to only last me the next 6 months? Or is it something that I can do for a bit longer? Now you're hearing my little son Oscar making some noise in the background. This is life. This is why we're doing Frank Chew the Fat cooking dishes, because we're having fun. I'm doing a service for my wife. We're all having fun, right? Okay, so think about the time horizon that I'm raising that capital for. But next, I want you to think about okay, if I do raise that cash, how can I get to profitability quicker so that I don't have to continuously be in this cycle? Because it is going to take you out of the game. Raising money is not an easy task. I'm not going to go into the process today of what it looks like to raise capital. I think that's a whole separate topic. But I just want you to think about, it's exciting to get capital in your business. It's going to help it grow. But think about things not from a 6 monthly, 9 monthly lens. Think about what can serve you in a longer term, because if you can put a lot of your energy and effort and run hard in business, you're going to be far more likely to succeed. So hopefully this has been helpful around, not all money is the same. Think about where it is you want to go and realizing, yes, it's exciting to get a big cash check, but is it the right place to get it for your business? Are you fully aligned, and is it going to make an end state outcome? Now, this little peri peri chicken number, I haven't done much for it today, have I? I've just been chatting and having a good time. It's getting close. Smells good in here. I hope you enjoy the episode. And I'm sorry you don't get to have a taste.